We got to get this going, right? At least before we start. So there we go. All right. We got to at least get that one in for the queen. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining for this afternoon over lunch event. We are just so excited that you are taking a break for yourself. Being able to invest in yourself and your whole self wellness is the entire point of today. If you're going to be able to break that glass ceiling, you've got to be strong enough to punch. And today we are here with some fierce leaders from our region, here to share with you how they've been able to achieve leadership roles and responsibilities through investing in themselves and their whole self wellness. And so today's conversation is a live podcast presented by Crunchmaster Crackers and Snacks. Crunchmaster is committed to proving that wholesome snacks can be enjoyed without compromise, providing gluten-free fuel for leaders across the United States. Shop for Crunchmaster and local grocers like Kroger. And today we're here to just really share some of the thought leadership that Crunchmaster has brought to us, and being able to provide the platform for other incredible women here in our region. These leaders will share their wellness philosophies, stories of success and failure for growth and inspiration to demonstrate to the audience that when we invest in ourselves, we can be successful in all aspects of our lives. So today, you're going to hear from renowned chef Jordan Hamons of Tablespoon Cooking Company, Erin Arlinghaus, policy manager at Kroger, Dr. Odayme Quesada, medical director of the Women's Heart Center at the Christ Hospital, and Kyla Woods, public information officer for Hamilton County Sheriff's Department. Today, the event will be moderated by the incredible Kim Holman, marketing director at TH Foods, which Crunchmaster is affiliated with. And Kim, I'm just so grateful to have you here today, because I really do believe that there's so much that people can learn from women who have made so many incredible achievements and made choices in their lives that have allowed for them to step into this space. And you yourself are leading at TH Foods, but you've done this, on your own terms. And so I would love for you to share and introduce yourself with the audience and just share a little bit about your why and why you said yes to this today.
Thank you, Stevi. Yes, I'm Kim Holman. I am the marketing director for TH Foods, and we are the parents of Crunchmaster. Crunchmaster, if you don't know us, we are delicious, crunchy, gluten-free crackers and snacks. And as far as leadership, I wanted to be here today personally. I want to start, I actually have been capturing quotes throughout this entire year of COVID. And I came across this quote, and this I think, speaks to probably many of us, particularly here today. This quote is from the legendary Dolly Parton, and she said, "Don't get too busy making a living that you forget to work on making a life." And I think, as I see some head nods here on the panel, right? And I think, for me, I've been working in corporate America for over 20 years. And particularly at the beginning of my career, I thought I had to prove myself. I had to work all the time. I had to work really hard. And sometimes I still think I've got to prove myself and work all the time. But what I have learned, and the reason why I love this quote, is because you've got to make that time to make a life for yourself. And I turned 50 during COVID as well. And that also huge milestone, right? And so I have recharged myself, particularly during this next chapter in my life, to make sure I prioritize my health. I take that time, but not only take that time, but talk with other women. It is so important that we reach out to each other and talk about our health, our personal well-being, and our family, right? They know, we know, we've got good advice. We've been in this for a while. So I challenge each and every one of you to do that. So very happy to be here, Stevi. Thank you very much. I think we're going to kick this off and introduce some of the other panelists.
Absolutely. And I would just say the rules of the road, if you've been here before, welcome again. If you've not, this is how this rolls. We want you to be interactive and engaged. So please put your questions into the chat. If you have a burning question, something you just got to say out loud, we encourage you to come off of mute and just, and dive right in to the conversation. This is intended to be part of what Kim is talking about, this casual conversation that enlightens each other, and we share a little bit of the secrets of how we've done it. And so I think that there's no one right way to do things. I will be snacking over here, not to be too like pluggy, but literally I eat these. If anybody knows me, I eat these things all the time. And it looks like Ellen does too. Yeah, exactly. So make sure that you're getting water, that you're staying hydrated, and that you're also staying nourished. This is meant to be get up, walk around. You could be on camera or off. So Kim, I'll hand it over to you and I'll be monitoring the chat in the meantime.
Great. So what I'd love to do is start up. We want to get to know you all a little bit better. So can each one of you maybe just take a second, introduce yourself, your profession, and maybe just a one-word phrase that describes your approach to wellness.
I guess I'll get started.
Great.
Again, my name is Odayme Quesada, and I am a clinical cardiologist, and I'm also an NIH clinical investigator with a focus in women's cardiovascular disease. And I was recruited to Christ Hospital to start the Women's Heart Center. So I'm the medical director of that. And I'm extremely excited to be here. Very excited to always be part of events that Stevi and Weiss Wellness puts together. Thank you, Kim from Crunchmaster, for having me here. And for all the important work that you do, Stevi, to bring awareness and light into the importance of wellness and empowering women through wellness. So for me, my approach, and I guess one line would be, take that daily time for some mindfulness. And for me, exercise is really important.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Erin, you want to jump in?
I certainly will. So I'm Erin Arlinghaus, and I am in charge of working with the team to develop and revamping our people policies at Kroger. And that's really just to meet people where they are in our organization. One of the reasons why I agreed to do this event is because I think it's really important for women, number one, to lift as we climb and to share our stories openly and candidly. Especially, journeys around mental health. And so mental well-being is a major focus for me, and just excited to share that with the group today. And thanks, Stevi and Kim, for having me on the panel as well.
I love that, lift as we climb. That's really powerful. Thanks, Erin. Kyla, welcome.
Thank you, Kim. And hi, everyone. I'm Kyla Woods. I agree, Lift as You Climb is incredibly important. And I know that all the women here believe in that, or you probably wouldn't have showed up today. So I'm hoping we can continue to fuel that spirit in you as we chat today. So I currently serve as the Public Information Officer for Hamilton County Sheriff Charmaine McGuffey and the Sheriff's Office. And many of you may know this, but some of you may not, that Sheriff McGuffey is the first woman to hold the title of Sheriff for Hamilton County and the first member of the LGBTQ community to be sheriff. So I'm very proud to be serving as a part of her administration. In my role, I'm on her command staff, which is kind of parallel to an executive team. And I manage all of the internal and external communications, all of our media engagement and relations, also all of our social media. And I also serve as a spokesperson in the absence of Sheriff McGuffey. So I'm really thrilled to be in this role. I know that every single role I have held before this one has prepared me for this. Although I never saw myself here, I know that everything prepared me for where I am right now. And I hope that resonates with someone, that you know that you're where you're supposed to be and that you're prepared to be there. So I would say my, I guess, quote, for lack of a better reference, is that comparison is the thief of joy. And we have to really rely on our intuition, rely on our journey, rely on our purpose, and not compare ourselves and where we are to where someone else is. And so I'd love for us to expand on that as we talk about our particular leadership styles today as well. So I'm so excited to be here with you all.
Oh, we are excited to have you. Thank you, Kyla. That was great. Welcome, Jordan.
Hi, thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Hamons. I'm the owner of Tablespoon Cooking Company. We're located at Finley Market here in Cincinnati, and we offer hands-on cooking classes. They're all taught by professional chefs or people who have worked in the food industry. So we like to take what we've learned working in restaurant kitchens or going to culinary school, working in food businesses, and show home cooks how to cook better food at home. Our classes are really laid back and fun. And we just moved into a brand new space. So that's been kind of that's taken up a lot of my life for like the past several years. In terms of wellness, for me, it's about continuous improvement because, it's something I'm always kind of trying to work on. And figure out how to better incorporate it into my life. And I also have some Crunchmaster here with
Love
me.
it.
We have Tablespoon has a partnership with them, so many of us these are a big staple of our diets because we always have them. So
thank you for that. That's fantastic. Wow, it's just some great nuggets, and what a great start to the next hour. So Stevi, should we just jump in?
Yes, I think so. I think that everybody, like I said, I hope that this is an engaging and interactive next 45 minutes. Please feel free to jump in and, anything that calls to you, put it into the chat, because we're capturing all of these nuggets and we'll want to share this with those folks that are going to be listening on the podcast in the future.
All right. Okay. So here's oftentimes so many people, they wait for permission to step into this healthier version of themselves. I mean, how can leaders create a space of empowerment in their workforce? I'd love to hear from someone on this.
So I'll go ahead and kick this one off.
Thanks, Erin.
I think really empowering your team to bring their authentic selves to work is key. And I found that through years of leadership, just being able to have a genuine conversation with your teammates, whether that be professional, personal, whether that be quick conversations or icebreakers, it's really important to get to know your team, right? And that builds trust. Being able to share lessons learned is another thing also, including mistakes that leaders make, right? And I know everyone on this panel, we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't make mistakes throughout the day. And I think that just shows your team the ability to, live that healthier version at work. And then just being able to encourage open sharing and open forums and working sessions, making sure everybody feels like they have that say in what we're doing, right? Giving everybody a piece of the ownership. So
I love that. That's great.
And just to add to what Erin's saying, I think, one thing that's been really important for me, especially jumping into this leadership role and creating a team as we're building the Women's Heart Center, it's really empowering and letting my team and everyone on the team knows that their role is very important and that we're all in it together, and that only if we work together on all different aspects can we really provide the care that we're striving for all the women in the center. And also from a research perspective, again, I think if every member of the team understands the mission and realizes that there's such an important component of being able to accomplish it, that we all really, give it our all and work together to make something wonderful. So that's been key for me. I think, as Erin said, communication is key. Not only encouraging everyone in the team, if they have an idea, if an issue comes up, having an open door policy. I found that extremely helpful throughout my training. And especially now is something that I like to really empower everyone in our team to just speak out. And so we've created these regular check-ins where it's really a roundtable discussion so that people just jump in, whether, see all the good things that are going on. And if something's not that great and we need to brainstorm as a team, that we do it right then and there in real time. So I think that's been very important.
That's
I
great.
think that, and Kim, I wanted to just ask Dr. Quesada this question, because I find that, and it's not necessarily a generational thing, it's a work style thing. And I think in particular, healthcare, this is one where it can be challenging, is your approach to leadership, Odayme, is different than traditional healthcare. And I think that for those that are listening, this creating this open environment where to understand what leadership looks like isn't necessarily delegation and telling everybody what to do, but it's about helping to bust barriers and create a path forward, leveraging people's unique skill sets. And I think that when I was a P&G for so many years, like that was definitely something that was known and ingrained and understood. But I think that you're really paving the way for what a collaborative work environment looks like, where people can align their skill set and values to the daily work that they do. And I just want to make sure we're calling that out, because, it can be done differently. And, healthcare isn't stuck in time. It's not a static being, and it's a human business. And so I just want to encourage that if you are a healthcare leader and looking to do something different, Dr. Quesada is definitely shaking things up over here at the Christ Hospital.
Thank
I
you.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dr. Quesada, I'm kind of curious, the roundtables, because getting people together and, that seems somewhat new for healthcare. How'd the first one go?
So to be completely honest, this is something that I saw my mentor Noel Berry Merce do at Cedars-Sinai, where she had these weekly meetings. She had a clinical roundtable, she had a research roundtable, and I was like, okay, this makes sense and when I started doing it, I think people were a little bit caught off guard, like we're all meeting, but everyone loved it. Actually, everyone's like, okay, we have a lot of things to talk about. We always do. We either can do it via email, and then sometimes things get lost, or it's just become like part of our what we do. We meet every other week for 30 minutes to an hour. And I just really feel that it's allowed us to troubleshoot things that have come up right in real time. It's really helped where all the members of the team are really, they're a very important part. Every single person in our team plays a critical role. So I think it's been welcomed, very welcomed so far.
It sounds like it. Well, and it really gets to kind of what you said, Erin, this idea of building trust, right? I mean, if you're all around the table having that conversation together, hearing what each other says, I mean, that's a really easy way to build that trust.
And trust is so key. I would just say too, the trust building is probably the hardest portion of getting your team on board. But once you have that rapport built with your team, the things that you can accomplish is amazing. I'm working on a team right now, and we have done just some really great, like, self-awareness, team building, really just getting to know each other. And it has been amazing to talk through all of our different personalities, our different viewpoints, and it just has a much better outcome that way.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious, Erin, on trust in this virtual world that we're living in. I feel that it's maybe a little bit more difficult to build that trust, or has your groups found that?
Well, so it's funny that you asked that. We're working remote up until we just started returning to work recently. And, I think it's difficult to build the trust if you're not authentic, right? And so I think this digital aspect really provides a great way for us to show our authenticity, especially via camera. I mean, there's a lot that can be read on, from body language.
Yeah.
But also, just meeting people where they are. I'm a mom of 3 kids. And so sometimes my conference calls, I have my hair in a bun and I may have a sweatshirt on, it's meeting people where they are to show who you really are.
I love that. Yeah, I think we've all seen that over the last year, right? Right. People have definitely put their hair down, or up, I should say, in COVID. Very nice. All right, well, let's move on. Sometimes leadership means a lot of responsibility, right? I mean, especially in these high stress environments. How do you use boundaries for breaks in your line of work to ensure you can create that space?
To chime in there. I have worked in a few different high stress environments. So I am working at a law enforcement agency now, of course, at the sheriff's office, and really working in the criminal justice landscape. But most of my career has been spent in broadcasting. So I worked as a news anchor and reporter for many, many years. So both can be high stress in different ways. And so for me, one way that I have created boundaries, and one way I'm even getting better at now, is in saying no, because when you say no to one thing, you're saying yes to something else. And whether that yes is yourself, whether that yes is a more high prioritized item that you need to finish in order to better manage your wellness, whatever it is, just being unafraid to say no. And no is a complete sentence. You don't have to say, no, I've got to run and get my kid. No, I mean, I'm really sorry, I was already running behind this morning. And no, like, we feel like we have to give 10 explanations, and we don't. And the more we do that, the more we model it for ourselves and for other women to see that it's possible to say that no with a period and without an explanation. So no for me has been a gift. And I hope that becomes a gift for many of you as well. And also just understanding that it's okay. And it's actually beneficial for me and for other women, for me to discuss that family life. That can, Erin mentioned that as well. Talking about your kids, talking about your family, not even balance, but like I'm managing this one thing right now, and I might be doing it okay, but tomorrow it might not be great, and that's okay because that's life. But we just have to talk about it. We have to put it out there and create space for it, because that gives permission for other folks to feel like it's okay for us to talk about that as well. So I think being able to discuss the family dynamic, because then if someone says, oh, you know, where's Kyla? Oh, Kyla had to take her daughter to the dentist. It's a very normal thing. It's like, no one has to like that there. It is what it is, because that's life. So, but we have to talk about it. We have to make it part of the conversation, very normal conversation. So I hope that wasn't too all over the place, but
I think we all love that, right? This idea of giving yourself permission. I mean, it's so huge. I'm kind of curious, when you kind of discovered really that word no, did you feel freedom? Did you?
Oh, for sure. It's so free. It is. And you know, the thing is, men do it without, I mean, they've been doing it with reckless abandon for decades. Like, oh no, I won't be going to that. And that's it. Like, and we feel like we have to give a laundry list of reasons why we can't do it, why we're not doing something, or why we not even can't do it, why we're choosing. We get to choose not to do something if we don't want to, if it doesn't fit in our schedule. It's okay. But again, we do have to have that permission. And here's another piece of it. We have to feel like we deserve to say no. We have to feel like we deserve to have that control and that power over our lives, and have that agency over ourselves and our schedule and our calendar. And that's something I think that we as women, especially if we're, you know, if we have families and we feel encumbered to these certain things, and we just have to release ourselves from that. So yes, completely freeing. And I want everyone to experience that freedom for sure.
Well, and I think that the one piece that I would say, and knowing Kyla, how I do, she knows that she's empowered me even with feeling the agency to feel like I can say no, but the guilt, freeing myself of the guilt of the no, is about surrounding yourself with people that know you well enough too, that I think, again, it gets back to those relationships. And I think that that's like just this really crucial layer to, because I'm saying no is not a reflection on you as a person. It is a reflection on how I want to manage my time. And this no has nothing to do with you. And in fact, I might really want to do it, but I've already said yes to these other things. And just because I say no now, please come and ask me again, and keep asking me, because at some point it might be a yes. And I think that that's just so powerful, that we can't be afraid that these opportunities are going to go away, and that we have this scarcity mindset. By saying yes to certain things and no to other things, that white space is where it becomes a vacuum for things that are supposed to come into your life. And I don't know, I've learned so much from Kyla in this space. She is paving the way on saying no and stopping apologizing, which is the other thing. She corrected me just yesterday.
Just yesterday. I said, girl, don't be sorry.
Like,
nothing to be sorry about. We
no sorry's here.
Sorry about.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah.
So great. So great.
Oh, it is. And I don't know if you find this too, but so text messages, you know, my husband will say no. And then I've got to, you know, if I'm saying no, for some reason, I feel I have to add a paragraph. So even in text messages, we can't say no sometimes. So I hear you. Thank you, Kyla. That was great. Jordan, what do you think about?
So I'm someone who really struggles with saying no. So I'm probably going to be looking to Kyla for some coaching time, because it's hard for me and I'm working on it. But one thing that really helps, and to kind of tie in the relationships piece, is for me having people I can run stuff by, like, hey, you know, I got this opportunity and I don't think I want to do it. Like, am I on the right page here? And just having that confirmation. I know hopefully I can get to a place where it'll just like come from within and I'll feel comfortable. But in the last, you know, year, with all of kind of our whole business changing during the pandemic, and also with opening our new store, some of those relationships from business coaches and people in similar areas in the field have just really helped. So taking the time to develop some of those relationships and maintain them has actually helped me kind of with boundaries and staying focused, and just having a support system. And the other thing that's just like crucial to my overall wellness is talking to my therapist regularly. And I go to Gallia Collaborative, which I know some of you are probably familiar with, Dr. Becky Absaloff. She is just like, I'm talking to her today at 2:00, and it's from my office here at work via Zoom, but like, that's how I can fit it in this week. And for me, it's just, super crucial. And having her as just like that open person I can talk to about literally anything from, family issues to like, hey, I'm having this issue at work. Can you help me look at it like from your perspective? And that has just been probably the best thing I do to stay afloat.
I love that. Having that support system, the way you've described it is just fantastic. And that's something I think probably many of us have, and we might not even know it, but I love that idea of that mental health and just checking in with your therapist as well. Thank you.
And Jordan, one question that I had for you, I know in your story that really struck me is finding this ability to like, when you get on because every day as an entrepreneur looks different, right? And we're always stepping in. At one point, you're reordering freezers or washers that don't work. And then you're, prepping something that somebody didn't quite get to and all of these things. And so I know you had mentioned that even your nutrition is something that you, even like working in this food space, you struggle with because it becomes this pattern of like, I get stressed, I'm going to move into this space. And like, I think that boundaries around like how I create space to actually sit down and have a meal is something that I have struggled with as an entrepreneur. And I know that relates to beyond an entrepreneur. I know I've had many conversations about people even like right now. That's why I'm saying, please go get a snack or like find something and like allow for this to be an opportunity for you to invest yourself. Can we just talk for a minute about that? About like, what have you found does work when you can make it work for creating space to like invest in yourself, your nutrition, and actually creating space for like a meal?
Yeah, it's funny. You talk to most chefs and people will be like, oh, you must eat so well. Like you're always around food. It's like, no, usually you're eating like over a trash can, just like shoveling food into your mouth. It's like cold because it was cooked like 4 hours before. So really we have to be even more like deliberate about it because we don't really have a lunch break during the day the way, service works and things. So I struggle with this every day because the fact of like what would work well would be meal prepping. But when I get home from cooking all day or being in the kitchen all day, I probably don't really want to cook too much more. So I often kind of just snack a little bit throughout the day and then have like my big meal at night. That's what works well for me because my body do well with that because I don't like to eat a big meal in the middle of the day because it'll kind of slow me down at work. So I really started like I order these like beef sticks. I don't know. That's what doesn't sound the most apt. They do taste very good. From like Thrive Market online, and I just have like a bunch of them in my bag at all times. We have the crackers around all the time, so I'll eat just like a little bit throughout the day and then have my big meal at night. But it really, smoothie. I buy these like smoothie packs that are like pre-made, and you just like dump them in the blender and like doctor them up a little bit. And so for me, some of the like convenience products are like totally worth it. For a while, my boyfriend is a chef too, and we struggle to cook at home, not because we don't know how to do it, but it's just like more work. So like we were doing HelloFresh for a while and people were like, really HelloFresh? And we're like, yeah, because we don't have to think about it. Like the cooking's the fun part. That's the easy part for us. Like I don't need a grocery shop anymore. I don't want to like look for recipes anymore. Not that I don't enjoy those things, but it's what I do all day. So finding those ways to, cut corners and make it easier, really, that's what works for me. But I don't have it figured out. Like it's a challenge every day. And also like for me, I sometimes remember that like there are seasons to things. So sometimes I have time to eat healthy and focus on that. And like, I can tell you for the last 2 months while we've been getting this store going, I have eaten mostly takeout. Because that's what I have time for right now. And I'm hoping to get things, but I try not to beat myself up too much about it because I'm like, I'll get back into it. But right now my season is like Uber Eats and takeout. And that's okay.
I love your vulnerability and honesty about that, because I think that that is such a misconception with people that, you know, you are though being deliberate about understanding your season and trying to find ways to surround yourself with things that are easy and tangible. And I mean, believe me, like as a person on our 100-point wellness assessment, nutrition, it will always be the challenge because it's baggage from when I was a kid, believing that like potatoes were real vegetables and that like corn like was totally acceptable and I didn't eat anything that was green. And like, I think that there's ways that we can make better choices. We don't have to be perfect, but I appreciate the fact that you're at least saying, I know I'm going to need protein. So how do I bring this in? I know that like, I've got these Crunchmaster crackers, or I've got like this, like a smoothie thing. The smoothie thing for me, I can totally get on board with and like kind of get in that space because it's meaningful in the sense of like, at least there's a little bit of something like that I'm saying, I'm going to give myself 30 seconds. And while this thing is roaring, I have a mindfulness moment that I can breathe and then I can go and move on. So anyway, so thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. I just wanted to ask you that question because this is my issue right now. And I'm like, how do we address it and make it public and aware?
Yeah. Well, I will add one little comment here is that Kroger does offer pickup for groceries. So Jordan, you don't have to shop, as well as delivery options to help make it easier for you.
I love that. I live and die by click list. I haven't been inside of a Kroger except for flowers because I love the flower selection, but I really like, it's been a lifesaver for us. I think it's the only reason why we have groceries at our house ever. And we aren't doing fully takeout. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Stevie, it's not your issue. I think it's many people's issue. A lot of head nods going on. What do you do at the end of the day, especially if you've got children and you've got to, feed them. For me, it's always a struggle with my kids sometimes on what they want. I'm trying to get vegetables in them and they're like, how about Culver's or how about fast food? So I think it's a struggle for more than just you. All right. Well, speaking of families, we've got parents here, and so we want to talk a little bit about, as working parents, what is one wellness habit that you've integrated into your family routine to instill those healthy values? Kyla, you want to kick that, or Erin, you want to kick that off?
I'll go ahead and go first, Kyla. So for us, and a major focus for us has been on bringing awareness and acceptance of mental well-being into our family. As somebody who struggles with anxiety and really only became aware of it about 5 years ago, I had almost a nervous breakdown at work, and it was awful. It was the worst thing I've ever experienced, and it's because I wasn't taking care of me. And just like Jordan, I got into therapy and I love therapy. It's amazing. I recommend it to everybody. But I got to take some time to recognize, I'll never forget, my therapist said to me, what are your hobbies? And I said, sleeping. They were like, no, that's not a hobby for you. You need to have something that you enjoy. And so, the things that I learned to enjoy now are things that I was tasked to try. So I meditate. I am an avid meditation practicer. I do that every evening before bed. Typically, my meditations are 10 to 15 minutes long, nothing super crazy. I also practice yoga. Yin yoga is amazing, not only for your body, but for your brain. And then also, I do journaling. That's a little less often, but it really helps me process everything. And so, when you incorporate these things into your lives, your children start to get into them. And so my kids know all the yoga poses. We definitely try and meditate, but you can imagine with an 8, a 6, and a 5-year-old, meditation maybe lasts for about 5 to 10 minutes, but we talk often about it. And, I think just making mental wellness not taboo, making it like it's just like any part of wellness that we would take care of, that society says is normal and okay. And, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your others.
Yeah.
Can't take care of your family.
Yeah. Gosh, thank you for sharing that. I mean, that was some very personal stuff, and that takes a lot of courage. So thank you, Erin, very much.
And I'll add to that, Erin, first of all, thank you for sharing that. That was an incredible testimony. And I just know that it was a blessing to someone who is with us here today, or maybe who will hear this afterwards. So thank you for that. I would agree that, focusing on your mental wellness, your mental health, having those conversations with your kids. So my kids are older now. We have 2 girls. They are now 14 and 16. So we have full on teenagers. So when they were younger, I used to work out regularly. I'm finally back into a workout routine, and I'm very proud of that. So I'm going to share that here also. But now they work out with us, like we work out as a family. When they were younger, my workout time would kind of be my own time. So I'd, go to the gym, or I'd go for a walk or run. Well, now that we're all kind of working out together, I have to create my own space and my own time. So now I kind of have my quiet time. So they will know, like, if the door is closed, or if I'm, outside or whatever, and they'll know, like, they'll say, are you having your quiet time? So they will check in with me to ask me. And I'm very, very proud of that, because they are creating that self-awareness, not only of the fact that I need that and I deserve to have it, but that when they are adults, whether they have kids or not, they deserve to create that boundary for themselves as well. They're also very in tune with feelings and emotions, and how are you? They'll ask me, how are you? How was your day? How are you feeling today? And again, that's just important for me, especially raising girls. Like, I want them to have that awareness for how they should be checking in with themselves, but also that empathy toward, how's another woman feeling? How are you? Did you take some time for yourself? So that is one of the things I'm proudest of as a mom, is that they are building that for themselves as well. And so they respect my time. And I think they are also building just that understanding of the importance for us to be in tune with how we're feeling, and that every day is not rosy. I'm in general a very positive, upbeat, joyful person, but some days are stressful and some days are hard. And for them to understand that, and be aware of that, is very important for me as well. So that's what I would say, as far as just creating time for myself.
Yeah, nice. Just some really great modeling going on there for all of your children there. Erin, I'm curious from a meditation standpoint, because I actually been really interested in this. Do you have any advice? I mean, are you meditating from your phone, or did you get a video?
Well, so it's funny that you asked that. I needed to find something that worked at work, right? I couldn't do something that was like a 30-minute, you need to lay down,
right,
focus, completely zone out. And I found a lot of my triggers were work related, right? It was either stress from this project, or emergency, something like, somebody's emergency at work. We don't keep people alive at Kroger, so there's no true emergency. But I look at these. I've focused on. There's a lady named Shell Hamilton, and she does. I'll send the link out to Stevi later. But she does some podcast minis. They're 10 to 15 minutes. They're amazing. So that's how I got started. And I remember the first time I did a meditation, my husband actually walked me through it, and I was laughing the whole time. I was like, I cannot focus. Why are you telling me to think about a box in the back of my head, and like trying to, and now I can totally do it on my own, because I've practiced. I understand what that means. So I can use a guided meditation, but I also, can do it on my own. I recommend definitely guided meditation for those beginners, though, for sure.
Oh, I love that.
I do too. And it's so hard, because you speak with so many peak performers and people who say, I have a really hard time not doing anything, and like really just letting the conversations flow through, because something will spike, my ego will get hurt because I'll remember something. Like, there's all of these other distractions that we create. But what we've actually found is meditation, much like sleep, allows for our brains to actually have a moment of rest, and to allow for the brain to make sense of all of the stimulus that's occurred throughout the day. And they're linking a lot of this with meditation to being proving to reduce anxiety, but also longer term impact on Alzheimer's, which impacts 2 of 3 diagnoses are women. And it's not lost on me that, you know, this brain health conversation that we're having on, you know, it's really about, we never turn it off because we have a harder time compartmentalizing based on our makeup of how we address things. And so, Erin, I think it's so crucial what you're doing to destigmatize mental health with your family, but also giving the tools, as you know, you and Kyla have done, of giving them an example and leading by an example. And there's so much to learn from that, not just with children, but also I think with our peer groups and offering additional opportunities to socialize in different ways. I think is just really, really just something I'm definitely going to take away from this is how can we address that as a community aspect?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I definitely am going to, you've inspired me for the meditation, so I will look forward to your link. So thank you very much. That's great. All right, ladies, we are going to do rapid fire. So in 1 to 2 sentences, describe your best tip for aspiring leaders to avoid that burnout, which we've all probably experienced once in our career. All right.
I'll jump in. I would say sometimes in work environments, we can, you know, we especially if you're high stress or high performing and you're you're crossing off your to-do list, right? Like, you know, these are the things you need to get done in a day. What I have found in some work environments is that you'll have pockets of people who just may not have a list as lengthy as yours, or who may not have, you know, priorities for that day. And those people live in small talkville, and they'll try to bring you into that. And, you know, sometimes this can feel like a mean thing, but this is one thing I've really had to become much more adamant about. Like, I cannot do the small talk because I have big things that I need to get done today. So I can casually say, you know, hi, how's everybody? And just keep it moving. Sometimes just leaving out the how you doing get you right to the top of your to-do list. But that has, for me, I mean, it's funny, but and it kind of feels small, but it really has become something I have to focus on, something I've created a boundary around, and something that has just really helped me just stay focused on the things that I need to get done. Because that small talk sometimes, man, it will really zoom out some time from your day. Yes.
Yeah, sucks you in. Avoid the water cooler, right?
For me, sometimes I have to like physically remove myself from work. I have a hard time if we have classes going all the time, and I will get into a pattern where I feel like I need to be here 24/7. So I will purposely remove myself. Like when we opened the new building, I was here constantly, and it was really hard for me for that first class to just be like, all right, I'm not going to be there. And I strategically booked a trip to Mexico out of town so that I just had to rip the Band-Aid off. Because I was like, I know if I'm just like taking a day off, like I live 3 blocks away from work, so I won't just take a day off. I'll find some reason to be here. So I will go out of town or make plans with someone, and it's still sometimes painful and I worry, but I get over it pretty quickly then. And I'm like, all right, they're fine without me. And also remembering that it might not be perfect. Something might, like when I was in Mexico, we had like a snafu with a guest list change that didn't get communicated, and like they figured it out, and I did not need to be here. So had I been here, would it have happened? Maybe, maybe not, but they figured it out. It wasn't perfect, but it was fine. And like, I was on the beach. So we all won in that situation.
Definitely a win for sure. Yeah. I like that you get physically having to remove yourself. I think that takes, I'm sure you kind of have to talk yourself into it to some extent, but it sounds like it's getting easier.
Hopefully.
So I'll go ahead and jump in next. I think for me, it would be lean in and leverage your team. So, you know, you're not only building that trust again with your team to say, hey, I know that you can manage through this, but it also gives you that time, just like Jordan needed, right? To have some space, and Kyla needed, you know, to avoid that small talk piece. But it's just lean in and utilize your team.
Yeah, I love that.
I think for me is one thing is because I just moved, so I had a very different life in California. I was going to yoga 5 days a week. I was walking everywhere. So that was my mindfulness time, was when I was walking to work and back. So I had a routine that I felt that I really, was doing well for my wellness. I think coming here and going into a new environment, just trying to figure out what that's going to look like here. And, the job has been, it really felt at the beginning that I worked here and that I didn't live here. That's like the best way. I moved in the middle of the pandemic. Thank goodness I met Stevi, and she really helped me meet people and feel part of the community. But it really felt like I was just working here. And what I've tried to do, or at least what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to create here is set up that time. Because when I'm at work, I'm on. Like from the minute I plug in to the minute I'm out, I am on. And honestly, I now started doing this thing where I will force myself to leave work, get in what I need, which for me is exercise, to at least feel that, that I just didn't work all day, even if I have to plug back in and do a few more things for the next day. I have found it that leaving at a reasonable time where there's still some daylight to get in that workout, even if I have to plug back in, at least helps me feel good right now. It's different than the life I had in LA. And I'm just trying to figure out, what avoiding burnout will look like for me. But right now that this seems to be working better than when it was all work at the beginning.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that it's gotten better. And I think that's a personal choice, right? You have to make that choice to make it better, right? Or you get sucked in, right, Kyla?
No, definitely you do. And I love that she mentioned, full transparency, I was in LA not too long ago. And let me tell you what, it's I can totally understand why she's like, it's a very different environment. Walking the streets of LA, it's just gorgeous. You're surrounded by so much beauty. So I can see how it might be a little easier to kind of disconnect and unplug there. So I completely understand that. But to her point, it's that and to your point, Kim, also, you have to find your own way. What does that look like for you? For me, a lot of times, even, walking outside, I can find something to focus on and find the beauty in it. It might not be a palm tree, or a beach like in LA or San Diego, but I can walk out and look at a beautiful cardinal. There's all these cardinals that surround my house, or a bluebird, I can find the beauty. And sometimes that's it. It's what in your environment can you focus on? What can you, draw some beauty from? What can you kind of focus on to bring you back to, where you need to be and what you need to think about? So it's about what's going to work for you and what can you kind of zone in on that might be different from what other people are choosing to do. Sometimes it's a book. Sometimes it's a drive. Like whatever it is, do that thing and do it to make it work for you.
Yeah. And at different points in my life, I feel like I've used different things. Like there was a time in my life where I used that walk, and every day I thought about what I was grateful for. Like, what am I grateful for? Like what are the things that have gone well? Because you go into work and some things go well, some things don't. And, there is that piece of like when you're taking, not always, but, when you're taking care of sick patients, there's limitations to what we can do in medicine, right? And I have no control over that part. And sometimes you have no control even over your research, or there's just so many components, so many things you have no control over, and you can become, more stressed in particular situations. And so I think that, starting the day right, I think helped me a lot, especially towards the end of my time at Cedars, when, every time you're going to make a big transition, those last couple months can be pretty stressful. And so, different techniques. And I think we all in this panel have had probably different techniques depending on what's going on in our lives. So,
yeah, nice.
No, I love that. And I think that there's something when I think about, my own experience in moving to a different city. Part of why I started WISE, one of the key pillars of this is, when you talk about transplants in the Midwest, it's difficult because you have a lot of people who have been grounded here for quite a while. And in particular in our region, we're not as transient. Now that is changing. We do have a larger wellness contingency. Healthcare has really drawn a lot of top performers like Dr. Quesada to our region. But I think that when I experience, my living in LA, my living in Chicago, in Baltimore, and then kind of coming back here, it became very obvious to me that I think that I'm very good at making friends, but I am actually an introvert. And I am really, when I need to be on and meet people, I can. But when it comes to those like really putting down roots, it takes me a full year to do it. And I just, that's where like I kind of knew that Dr. Quesada, as I was thinking about the power of community, that's where we as Wise Wellness Guild have really wanted to create a safe space for people that, like at the very least, I'm meeting the people in the city that are invested in the same things that I value. And that was a huge part of this. So I'm so happy to, like I said, have been able to meet Dr. Quesada in this capacity, but also, there are a lot of other people who might have come in from different parts of the country for job opportunities, or are working remotely now for jobs that are across the United States and don't have anywhere to go, and need a community because their job is based out of Silicon Valley or New York. And so I just wanted to make a plug for that we're really just trying to create this space that we can have these meaningful conversations for people, invest in one another, and amplify the amazing work that each other's doing, because that's the thing that we just don't really get the opportunity to do a lot. So thank you for your vulnerability. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr.
Awesome.
Quesada. Yeah, that was great.
Awesome. And
Can-
I was going to
Go ahead,
say, Erin, I apologize. Did you hop in and share your rapid fire? I couldn't quite remember.
I did.
Okay, perfect. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we got to yours because, as I said, we're going to be amplifying these. And so there is something that I wanted to come back to in terms of, the mental health aspect, because that seems to kind of be a key theme as it relates to the thread for all of these pieces, is that there is so much about what I love about this concept of being intentional and taking time and space. And I just wonder if the call to action here for everybody on this call would be, at what point is that time that Kyla maybe was speaking to, or Erin was speaking to? Like, what is that sacred space and time for you that you are going to commit leaving this discussion to create for yourself? Because I've definitely fallen off the wagon, and I'm going to look into meditation, just like, we're all leaving here that Erin's inspired us. Kyla has really created that quiet space for herself. Dr. Quesada is making the point to leave and go work out. And I know that with Jordan is saying, I have to physically remove myself from this situation in order to do this. So those boundaries around mental health, I think, are really crucial. And I don't know if anybody wants to go into the chat or to come off and share, like, do you have any routines or regimens that you put into place that can kind of create that space to take a break? Because I really appreciate the time today that you've done to take this hour to invest in yourself here, but we don't do these every day. So how's everybody else kind of investing in themselves? I'm totally going to call on Courtney Martin because she's a good student and invest in, is investing unless she's driving. Hi, Courtney.
Nope, I can play along. I was just finishing my healthy lunch.
Okay, perfect. Awesome.
I think what's funny, we were just having a staff meeting the other day as we are transitioning back to the office after Labor Day. So kind of talking about what that's going to look like. What are people excited about? What are people nervous about? And I shared that I've actually gotten into a really good routine working from home, in that I actually take a lunch break and go for a walk or a bike ride and get away from my screen, which in the office was just not the norm. And it wasn't anybody telling me that I had to, stay there and eat my lunch while I checked email. It's just what happens. So I shared with my team, I said, I'm nervous about reverting to that. I know no one expects me to do that, but I need you guys to help keep me accountable to get me away from the computer, whether maybe I can't go exercise because maybe I do have lots of in-person meetings, but even just, taking that lunch to the picnic table outside and talking to someone and not looking at the screen for a little bit. So just really trying to keep that break in the day has done so much for my mental health. Yes. But I've already taken the step to my team to say, like, I need you guys to keep me accountable. And if you see me sitting at my computer shoveling food into my face, ask if I can step outside with you.
I love that so much. And I love that group accountability. And can I say to you, okay, when has there ever been a day where we've said we're going to work through lunch so we can leave early or we can get out on time? And when does that ever happen? Like
Never.
it never happens. That is a myth. It is a dream. It is this fictitious thing that doesn't exist because there's always more work. There's always things to do. I mean, if we are in positions of leadership, there will literally, you might, if you are the person that has the clear inbox, I need a tutorial because I have 4,500 emails in my inbox right now and you would literally die. But I do think that having the conversation about like that by investing into this, you are going to have so much, you're going to perform at a higher level because you will have had that rest and mental clarity. You will have the fuel to continue about your day. Taking the break is a part of leadership. It is a part of the actual renewal cycle to build resilience and fortify yourself for the person that's coming at you at 3 p.m. or at 5:30 when you're getting ready to head out of the office, to be able to withstand those roadblocks and those bumps. And so thank you for sharing. I appreciate you being a great participant, Courtney, and allowing for me to call on you.
Yeah,
Anytime.
Yes, thank you, Courtney. And Stevi, just to build too, I think Kyla and Erin talked about modeling. I think as leaders, it's really important that we model for the people that work for us, right? So they're looking to us. If we're sitting in our offices eating lunch, they're going to probably be doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
If we jump up and take a walk or leave early, they're going to be like, wow, I can do that?
Yeah.
Great. I mean, it starts building that. And we know that helps build the culture. It's going to build the morale. I mean, there's a lot of pros, but I think that this idea of modeling certainly goes beyond families.
And it's, the ability to know that we're entering into a new way of working. And there's allowing for ourselves to have this new baseline, re-entering the conversation and level setting what the new expectation is. I mean, it's been a year and a half since some people have seen their coworkers. And I love that, Erin, with leading this new policy work, meeting people where they are. It's about meeting people where they are, but it's also that, like we said, that trust and respect, that baseline of let's not go back to the way that it was. I mean, we talk about this return to work. Like I, for one, want to blow up the work process. I firmly believe, and I'm really hot on this. They talk about the 4-day work week. I'm big on the 3-day work week because there's the Fridays and Mondays for me are like ways for me to re-enter in and kind of get through those 4,000 emails and allow for myself to process and digest and like create that space. Because if you can really be efficient with those 3 days with meetings and like not really do you even need to have meetings, like it's reinventing the way that we gather as humans and we collaborate as teams. It's crucial that that happens, but does it have to happen 5 days a week? Does it have to happen between 8 and 5? Does it have, I mean, I just have a lot of questions and I'm not getting a lot of really meaningful answers on why it's that way, except for that's the way we've always done it. So I love it.
Challenging those norms is a major part of our job, especially when Kroger was 100% in person before COVID. And just to, a major argument that we have about pushing the policy is we outperformed ourselves this past year. It was insane. Our results were insane.
Yep.
And we were all working from home.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah, right.
I mean, the data's there. So that's the part for me that with this great resignation, and I know we're at 12:30, but the great resignation for me, it will be the true teller of how people are being seen as humans in their workplace and as leaders and as women and as mothers and partners and all of these different spaces. I think that's the narrative that we're just really excited to amplify, because all of the hard work that's gone into the people like yourself, Erin, and I know that, as business owners, that building a culture, Jordan knows this probably better than I do, like getting people on board with your mission when you probably can't pay them as well as you would like to, right? I want to pay everybody on my team $1 million and I cannot do that, shockingly. But I would love to, because it's not really about money. It's about creating a space and a culture that enables people to be treated like humans with respect and dignity, and allows for them to be adults and live the way that they want. So I love that. And I think that this, like I said, this conversation could go on for a long time, and I'm very passionate about it, obviously, but I'm so grateful for everybody who has taken the time to invest in themselves today. I'm so grateful for each one of our panelists in this very rich dialogue and discussion. I honestly am forever indebted to you being able to share your wisdom with so many amazing people. And I know that we're going to continue to see you in this big stage of, forging forward with what the future of leadership looks like. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you for listening in. And we look forward to sharing more about our partnership with Crunchmaster. Make sure you check us out in the Chic Guide. We will continue to tell incredible stories like those that you can find of Dr. Quesada, Jordan Hamons. Kyla Woods is live this month, and then Erin Arlinghaus is coming up next month in the month of August, where she'll continue to share her story about investing in herself, her mental health, and how she's going to be able to do that from a larger organization standpoint. Thank you, everybody. And Kim, you're amazing. We appreciate your leadership here today. Everyone, have a great rest of your afternoon. Grab a snack, a healthy one, hydrate, and get outside. All right, have a good one.
Hi, thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you very
Bye.
much.